From Chicago, Illinois, one of the great television performers, Johnny King. From Dallas, Texas, former Detroiter, Tony Lindemann.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Championship Bowling here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is Fred Wolf. We're speaking to you from the beautiful Major League lanes with two more of our field of 24 of the nation's great bowling stars in match game competition. Both these boys making their second appearance. From Chicago, it's Johnny King. From Dallas, Texas, Tony Lindemann. Over $60,000 in prizes, all competition sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress. An additional $10,000 for each 300 score. These boys will go 3 games. It'll be total pins. They've all bowled 3, both of them. As our field continues, the top 2 men for 6 games qualify for the finals with a $15,000 added purse. We'll be ready for the first game of 3 in just a moment.
Ready for the first game of 3. Johnny King won the toss. He elected to start on the right side. All games starting on the left. We look at Tony Lindemann from Dallas, Texas. Former Detroiter. Ready, throws, looks good. He's in, he carries. Off with a big strike. Johnny King versus Tony Lindemann. In King's first appearance, he shot .614, defeating Frankie Klaus. Lindemann lost to Bobby Kowalik, 571 to 607. So King needs 654 to take over the top spot. It's Davey Sutar from Detroit with 1267. Young Ron Winger from Los Angeles, California with 1237. King winds one up, and here it comes. It's there. He carries both boys away with a big strike. 3 games to go, $1,000 to the winner. These boys have 2 things on their mind. Beat their opponent and, of course, get the big total to get up into the select 2 spots. Johnny King from Chicago had games of 205, 189, and 220 in his first appearance. 14 strikes. In the second, got to dig. He's there, and the 10-pin stops him. The 10-pin, that's been the very popular pin here on Championship Bowling in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You know what makes Championship Bowling the #1 TV tournament? Top-flight competitors, superbly conditioned lanes, AMF tournament-grade pins, uniform scoring conditions with magic triangle finishes. We don't make it too easy for these fellas. The lanes are conditioned for each match. Brand new AMF tournament grade pins. You've got to knock them down. Lindemann trying for the fast double. He's got it. Lindemann moving left. Tony's high 3 before the television cameras happened back in 1956 in Chicago when he put together a total of 793. He'd like to improve on that this week. As of now, he can do it. He moves left on the double. Number 3. And the 10-pin stops Lindemann. 3 times, this fella has won the National Match Game Doubles title, one of the most coveted titles in 2-man competition. In 1951, in 52, and again in 54. His partner was Buzz Fazio. At the 10-pin, cross lane. Look out, Tony. In the channel. Now, Lindemann's first appearance, he missed the 10-pin 3 times. All 3 times the ball going into the channel. So Lindemann still having trouble with the right side. Starting with a double, a 10-pin, and a miss. King in the third. He'll have to hurry. Doesn't get there, the 1-2. King, born in Cleveland back in 1921, gained national recognition in Cleveland, moved to Chicago in 57, and immediately won the Chicago match game title in 57 and again in 1959. There's the cover. So this match practically even. Lindemann leaving the 10 on a double and missing. King covering the spare in the third. We go into the fourth. Another one of our field of 24 who have rolled 300 games on television. King's high 3 before the cameras, 835. 835, which included a 300 score worth $10,000. In the fourth, too high, wide open, 4, 6, 9, 10. Right through the middle. And Johnny isn't too happy with that. Remember the Fresno Bombers in the National Bowling League in 1962. King takes 9, and that puts Lindemann back out in front as Tony moves to the right. He's put 3 right in the 1-3 pocket. And the next 10-pin that Lindemann shoots at, there's going to be a lot of things going through his mind. Brooklyn doesn't carry. A little too far left. Tony pulled that one, the 5 and the 9. Tony Lindemann, former Detroiter, now of Dallas, Texas. Going into the championship bowling series here in Winston-Salem for 6 games, Lindemann's average was .218. 19 perfect scores. The 5 and the 9 look out. He picked it. Well, Tony shot at 2 spares and missed them both. Tony, for some reason, has been throwing that ball out on his 10 pins. The lanes are a little slippery over there on the right side, the ball falling off into the channel. 3-finger ball. Throws. There it is. Carry. So Johnny King trailing by 3 pins. We're reaching the halfway mark in the first game of 3. Here's the wind. There it is. He's got it. So at the end of 5 here in the first game, both boys with strikes. In the 5th for Lindemann at 66 strike. For King, it's 63 strike. For the double. There it is. Well, Johnny got a great kick there. He had the 4, 5, and the 7, and the 4-pin falling right across in front of the 5. And taking it out, it's a double for King. He now has the lead. Lindemann will have to match it to take the lead back. Lindemann on a strike. We're in the 6th. That's better. There's a double. Tony Lindemann started with 2, missed 2 spares, back with 2. We go into the 7th. Both boys on doubles. Tony had a great year in 1960. On television alone, his winnings were over $14,000. Trying for 3. 5, 7. Tony didn't get enough of that pocket. So Lindemann has another tough shot. Looking for his first spare in 7 frames. The 5 and the 7. The AMF spare maker says hit the 5 thin on the outside. And Tony does it. Great shot. Well, that proves that Lindemann can make a spare, and that was the toughest spare shot that he had. He missed the 10-pin, picked the 5 off the 9. A chance for King to take the lead back with a strike. He's on 2. Big lift. There it is. So Johnny King, also known as the man with the long cigar, now has the string going. 3 in a row. Filling in the 30s. 93 in the 5th. He moves to the left. We're in the 8th frame. Johnny was the nation's leading TV money winner in 1957. That was the year that he picked up the 300 game on television worth $10,000. We're in the 8th on 3. That'll have to hurry. There it is. Boy, look at that King work. The longer the string goes, the more this boy makes the big move. He runs right. He runs left. We're in the 8th. Here's Lindemann, who doesn't show too much of that college try. Hurry up. Get across there. There's the 310. So Lindemann has another tough spare. Possibly he can pick up this split and make it 2 in a row. The 310, the ball should go between the 2 pins, moving to the extreme left, making sure that you hit the 3 pin. There it is. Nice shot. Well, Lindemann having no trouble converting splits. His big problem, the right side. In his first match against Bobby Kowalik, Detroiter, Lindemann missed 3 10-pins, and that was just about the story. Tony losing the match by 36 pins. We're in the 9th. Lindemann with a good turn this time. He's there. He's got that big strike in the 9th frame. So King moves into the 9th. Johnny will finish this game first. Lindemann can still come in here with 212 with all of his problems. King with 93 in the 5th, working on 3. All strikes in the last half. Nope. Too high. Too high. Forfeit. Johnny shaking his head. He crowded that one a bit, so he stops at 4. That's a life for Lindemann. Johnny loves golf. He's quite a golfer. Spends a lot of time on the golf courses. There it is. Regardless of the weather, when he has some spare time, you'll find him out beating the ball around. And down here in Winston-Salem, certainly there are some beautiful golf courses. King has already become familiar with Tanglewood here in the Winston-Salem area. There it is. Well, King with his first strike in the 10th, that 4-pin, too high, of course, in the 9th, cut him off. A potential 222. If King does not get this one, Lindemann can tie him by going out. That's how big that strike in the 9th frame is. It's still A.V. Sutar from Detroit with 1267. In the 2nd spot, Ron Winger from Los Angeles, 1237. The top 2 men qualify for the finals. Our field now, all making their 2nd appearance. There it is. 220. Next week, it'll be Joe Kristoff from Chicago, Bobby Kowalik from Detroit. Kowalik going in with 607, Kristoff going in with 576. In 2 weeks, Carmen Salvino from Chicago, Hank Laumann from Los Angeles. Try to join us. King in the 10th. The count, 3 deuces. 2, 2, 2. Here it comes. 221. So King, who was slow to get started, leaving a 10-pin, solid in the 2nd, missing the head pin in the 3rd, wide open in the 4th, followed with a 4-bagger, a 4-pin in the 9th, a double in the 10th for 221 is Lindemann now, with an opportunity to get within 10 pins of his opponent on the right side, setting it too high, wide open, 4, 7, 10. Well, Tony hasn't missed a split yet. We've got to give him a chance at this one. It's not easy. too much of the 4, and Lindemann open in the 10th. So for Johnny King, it's 221. For Tony Lindemann, 180. 3 games, total pins, $1,000 to the winner. This is Fred Wolf at the Major League Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The boys will take a breather, and we'll pay attention to this message.
Here are the scores for the first game. Tony Lindemann, 180. For Johnny King, 221. King out in front by 41 pins. It's Davy Sutar with 1267. King making a challenge right now. Are you all ready in Winston-Salem for game number 2? All right.
Johnny King starting the second game. Out in front by 41 pins. King had a slow start. Finished very strong with a 4-bagger, a 4-pin in the 9th, doubling in the 10th. 221. Ready, throws, there. 4-pin in the first frame. Before King became the Chicago match game champion, he picked up the Cleveland match game title. Had 2 great years in Cleveland, leading their All-Star League with a 223 average 2 years in succession. Johnny, the man with the long cigar King, watches his opponent, Tony Lindemann, move in on the right. Lindemann, who's been having some trouble with spares. Throws too high. On the Brooklyn, the 5-9. He picked this one in the 4th frame on this very same lane, the right side. From the Major League Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Sitting just to our right, Charlie Rio, the North and South Carolina Division Manager. 22 establishments throughout the southeastern part of the United States. Stop in, get acquainted. 5-9, look out. Well, he didn't pick that one. Tony got that one past the pick line. He didn't cover it, as the AMF spare maker indicated, but it still looks good on the score sheet. Both boys with spares. We go into the second frame. Tony has an ABC title to his credit. In 51, he won the American Bowling Congress All Events with 2005. He is short of the pocket again, the 245. For Lindemann, that actually was his first spare. Shooting at a spare setup, he's converted the 5-7. He converted the 3-10. Here the 245 looks at him. Had the 4-7-10 in the 10th. There's the spare as Lindemann moves in to take his seat to watch his opponent take 2 turns on the lanes. All competition with a man starting each game on the left side. Then his opponent moves in and moves from our right to the left. No defense here, all offense. Lindemann watches. King lays it in the 1-3 pocket. So Johnny King now, the big threat to take over the lead for the 6-game total. In his first appearance, he had 6-14. He defeated Frankie Klaus. Lindemann lost to Bobby Kowalik. So King went into these 3 games needing 654 to take the lead. With a 221 start, King is certainly in position, trying for the double. 5-pin, he just missed it. Pin falling right in front of it. He carried one like that in the 6th frame of the first game. And Johnny gritting his teeth. A little unhappy with the way that ball moved when it got near the pocket. So King unable to make good his first strike in this, the second game. The cover. Lindemann trailing by 3 pins here in the second game. Moves in on the right. Tony trying to play a little more inside angle, although you probably have noticed he stands to the extreme left side of the approach and then walks diagonally almost over to the corner, 3/4 corner. He's playing this lane about between the 2nd and 3rd diamonds. Many of the boys are farther inside. Although in the past 2 weeks we've watched a couple of youngsters, Davey Sutar from Detroit, who had 680 2 weeks ago. Last week, Ron Winger had 678. A couple of strong youngsters throwing a lot of speed, playing it more to the outside. There's the cover, and we go into the fourth. Tony Lindemann, who started this match with a double, then missed 2 spares, came back with a double, had 3 splits, converted 2 of them, with a strike in the 9th, no strikes in the second game. We're in the 4th. That'll never get there. So Lindemann leaves the 1-2. Born in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Moved to Detroit in 1942, where he gained national recognition. Then to Dallas, Texas in 1962. Former draftsman before he became a professional bowler. There's the cover. So King now moves in on the right side. He has a lead of 6 pins here in the second game. We're almost halfway. And Mr. King's going to have to move to get 654. That's what he needs to get out in front of Davey Sutar. There it is. This fella makes a lot of motions out there after he throws the ball. The longer the string gets, the better chance we have to see Johnny King's wristwatch go flying off of his wrist. We're in the 5th. King with another chance for the double. He was a little short here in the 3rd. He hasn't forgotten. No mistake that time. No mistake that time. So Johnny with a double, as Lindemann now must start to move, or he's going to find Mr. King long gone. We're in the 5th. Lindemann with 4 spares. Gotta hurry. 10 pin, 6 pins sliding around it. So here's a chance to see if Lindemann can make the 10 pin. He missed 3 of them in his first match. He's only shot at it once this week, and he missed it. He misses them all on the right side. Now this has got to be bothering Tony a little bit. This time he's got it, no doubt. Nice shot. So Lindemann converts to 10. We're halfway in the second game. Lindemann, 73 with a spare. Johnny King sits on a very big double. There it is. That's the ball. So King now moving in on the right side. 2:21 start. He needed 654. So he needs 433 here in the next 2 games. And he's on the double. Here's a big one for King. Here it comes. Look out! 4 pin. 4 pin too tight. As King shows pain. That was a good ball. Just too much ball. But too tight. It's about the same spot he was in the 9th frame on this very same lane, working on a 4-bagger in the first game. At the 4, King covers. So King moves to the left. Former Cleveland match game champion. Former Chicago match game champion. 2 titles that he's won twice. 49 and 52, the Cleveland match game champion. In 57 and 59, the Chicago match game champion. And a great television performer. Has rolled 300 on television in Chicago worth $10,000. Hurry up. There it is. Well, Johnny got that one out there. Caught him thin and picked himself up a big strike in the 7th, and that 4 pin now looks very costly to him for the big game as Lindemann moves in the 7th.
be. There it is. So Lindemann getting his first double of the second game. Tony had 2 doubles the first game, but in between a couple of errors, which of course were quite costly. He's now within 6 pins of his opponent here in the second game. We're in the 8th. Lindemann winds one up, and here it comes. Look at that action, and the 7-pin doesn't move. Well, he threw about 4 of them over there. But those AMF tournament-grade pins would not cooperate. Just missed one little carom along the line somewhere, and he has a 1-pin conversion. King, who was on a strike in the 7th, now with a chance to extend his margin. The cover, Lindemann has it. King has 2 thoughts in mind. Number 1, to make sure he beats his opponent here this week, Tony Lindemann, for the $1,000. He's interested in picking up a total of at least $654, which will at least give him the temporary lead to qualify for the finals with a $15,000 added bonus. Too high. Johnny couldn't get out of that one. Oh, look at that face. Oh, John is suffering on that one. That's twice now on the right side. He's crowded. He had a 4-pin on a double, and now the 6-pin, and that was quite high. Could have been worse. 1 pin, cross lane, 6, he covers, he has the spare. So Johnny moves to the left. Say, I'll bet that there are a lot of you people who have never bowled that maybe wish you had. Stop into your neighborhood bowling center. You can get free instructions. It doesn't cost you a lot of money. Your proprietor has balls, he has shoes, everything you need. Learn how to bowl. It's a lot of fun. 4-pin. That's not very much fun for Johnny King. He's looking for a strike. He's looking for a string of strikes. Crowding. Johnny's a little concerned. He doesn't want to be short. He has watched Lindemann leave a couple of pocket splits. And King has been a little short here on the left side a couple of times. He got away with him, but he knows that can't continue. So he's trying for the solid hit. 168, spare in the 9th. Lindemann in the 9th. Tony will finish this game out. King will know just what he needs. Tony's still kicking around a 220 game. He's there. There you are. So Lindemann, who was working on 2, left a beautiful 7-pin here on the left side on the double. Could very well have a string of 4. Chance for 222. It's still Dave Sutar with 1267. 2 weeks ago, the Detroit youngster racked up a 680 total. Last week, it was another youngster from Los Angeles, Ron Winger, who finished with 678. 4-pin stops him, and Lindemann can't get loose. Now, he just made a slight correction. It looked like to be the right correction. He didn't want to be thin again. He was just a bit tight this time. The 7-pin on a light hit, the 4-pin on a solid hit. You've got to thread the needle. The 4-pin he covers. So Lindemann with a count 202. King still potential 218. And King will need double. That'll give him around 440. He'll need close to a 220 game in his 3rd game to get himself up on top. The question is, how long will it stay there? Lindemann carries this. Well, Tony was in that pocket starting with a 5th frame. He left a 10-pin in the 5th, a 7-pin in the 8th, 4-pin in the 10th for 202. King on the right side. Easy approach. That's it. Solid 8. Well, Johnny can't believe it. Scratches his ear, which, of course, is a very familiar move of King's. When he throws the ball and gets the tap, he'll usually come back scratching his head or his ear. There it is. He's got it. Well, you can't hit him any better than that. So King with the count, 207.
Johnny's going to need a big game, a 220 game at least. There's a great chance to move into the second spot, but we have a lot of heavy artillery coming up. Georgie Howard coming in with 635. Eddie Lebansky coming in with 668. Johnny Gunther with 683. Bonetta with 660. And Andy Marsich with 661. These boys will all be heard from here on Championship Bowling at the Major League Bowling Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We'll stand by for the third and final game. This is Fred Wolf. Now, let's pay attention to what our hosts have to say.
Here are the scores at the end of two games. Tony Lindemann with 180 and 202. The total is 382. For Johnny King, 221, 205. The total is 426. King out in front by 44 pins. Johnny needs 228 to take over the lead. Winston-Salem, are you ready? A little encouragement. Here we go.
Tony Lindemann from Dallas, Texas, former Detroiter, trailing by 44 pins. One game to go. Johnny King in position. He needs 228 to take the lead. In the first frame, Lindemann throws, and here it comes. There it is. He's got the big strike. So Lindemann, who started the first game with a double and just hasn't been able to get loose since, starts game number 3 with a big strike as King moves in on the right side. 228. That means he needs a 4-bagger. He can only lose 2 pins in counts, and that's quite an assignment. The Chicago Star throws on the nose, total at the side, doesn't get across, the 6-10. Next week, Joe Christoph will meet Bobby Kowalik. Then it'll be Ray Shannon and Fred Lenning. Lenning, the Metropolitan New York Bowler of the Year of 1962. There's the cover. Then the big and the little. Little Georgie Howard will go against Big Pat Patterson. Dick Weber, the Professional Bowler of the Year, will meet Vern Downing from Fresno, California. Eddie Lebansky will go against Ed Bourdain in the big match featuring 2 West Coast stars, Andy Marsich and Johnny Gunther. We're in the second. King throws. 4-pin this time. So Johnny doesn't know what to do to get the strike. He's hit that pocket. He's had the 4, the 8. He had a 4 in the 6th frame on a double in the second game. He had a 4-pin in the first frame of the second game. King not giving that ball too much room to roll. He's playing them pretty tight, and he can't kick the 4. So Lindemann now moving in on the right, on the strike, trailing by 44 pins, 9 frames to get them back. No, too high. Lindemann kicking out the 7. He has the 6-10. Do you know that the Goodwill Industries provide employment to more than 40,000 handicapped men and women annually? Contribute repairable clothing and household articles to the Goodwill Industries. The 6-10 he has. So Tony moves left. Tony had 2 doubles the first game, 1 double the second game. Finished very strong in the second game, going from the 5th through the 10th without a ball out of the pocket. And he started this game with a strike. Lindemann lines it up. 10-pin out. Well, that 6-pin sliding off into the channel at the angle that gave it a chance to hit the 10 right at the bottom and kicked it loose as King moves in frame number 3. The third game, Johnny needs 228. He's running out of frames. Too high. 3-6-10. Johnny will list this as his second toughest spare. The 2-5-8 is a spare that keeps John busy, and this 3-6-10 will keep everybody busy. Cross lane, ball between the 3 and the 6. He's got it. As a member of the Fresno Bombers in 1962 in the National Bowling League, the team that finished in the runner-up spot in the ABC Team Classic Division in Des Moines, Iowa. Johnny King, one of the real big members of that club, along with Bill Bonetta, Ed Bourdet. Here, 10-pin up there again. So King hitting that pocket, but doesn't have too much to show for it. Still looking for his first strike here in the third game. Cross lane. 10-pin. Covered. Tony Lindemann now on a strike. A chance here to make the move as King is unable to rack up a strike. Lindemann is on one. He trails by 40 pins. This would cut the margin to 30 pins. 6 frames to go. Tony throws. Too high. Wide open. 6-7-10. Ray Shannon, the Milwaukee star, in the audience this week, just to our right. Ray getting in a few practice licks here for his appearance coming up in 3 weeks. 6-7-10. Too much in the 6, and Lindemann is open. Well, that's the first open frame for Lindemann since the 10th frame of the first game, when he had the 4-7-10 on the same lane. We've seen every possible angle in the book used here. From deep inside to outside. Second diamond, first diamond. Here, there it is. Eddie Lebansky, who has 668 riding for him, showed us a new angle, playing the third diamond from the extreme left side. Ed Bourdet showed us an extremely inside angle. King is in there. Solid 5. King is playing more outside with more speed than Lindemann, but he can't move it up into that pocket. He's been in there, left a solid 8. When he crowds, he leaves the 4. At the 5, he has the spare. So, at the end of 5, here in game number 3, King, who needs 228, has started with 5 spares. 74 spare. Lindemann is 68, working on a big strike. So King has room. 5 frames. He needs a 5-bagger. If he doesn't get this one, he's going to have to strike out. Here she comes. There it is. So King with a strike. We strike him out, 244. Lindemann in the 6th. His last chance. There's the double. So Tony moves to the left. That's the first strike Tony has turned in on the right side, lane 28 in some time. Now he's on 2. This is Tony's best side here. Will it be 3? There it is. Number 3. So King is going to have to pay attention as the former Detroit star, Tony Lindemann, now of Dallas, Texas, gets himself in position. A chance for 248. King in the 7th. On a strike. Can he do it? He's got to hurry. He doesn't get there. So King finally is short there. He's been tight most of the time. The 245. Lindemann has picked up some 20 pins in the last 2 frames. So King's 44-pin lead here is beginning to fade. Cross lane, extreme left. Try to get the ball to roll right into the 2-5. He converted it on the outside, and the AMF Sparemaker says put the ball between the 2-5. However, it's a spare for King. We're in the 8th. Lindemann has picked up 14 pins. He trails by approximately 30 pins, 3 frames to go. There's still room. King to the left. There it is. So Johnny comes back with a strike. As Tony Lindemann now, with his back to the wall, he only has one way to go, all the way for 248. This would force King to get 205, and to get 205, King would need 2 more strikes. Lindemann reaches, gets there, then carries. So here we have another thrilling finish on championship bowling from the Major League Bowling Lanes in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. In the 9th, King will finish first. If he gives Lindemann room, Lindemann will know exactly what he needs. He works on a 4-bagger. All the way for 248. King would need 205 to beat him. In the 9th, throws. He is there. The 7-pin solid, and Johnny King now can stumble home the winner. Lindemann, a tough break, a 7 solid, and a groan from the crowd, and Lindemann just a bit disappointed with that result. Can't blame him for that. That was there. Lindemann covers. Johnny King cannot beat Dave Sutar for the top spot. Sutar will be safe for another week. Ron Winger in jeopardy at the moment. King doesn't need too much. 207 or 8. He got it. He got the double. And that'll put Johnny King in the 2nd spot if he can fill here in the 10th frame. Still has a chance for 224. He would be 4 pins short of Dave Sutar. So it's still Dave Sutar with 1267. Johnny King will be in the 2nd spot. Next week, Joe Christoph and Bobby Kowalik will make the big move to try to get into the finals. The top 2 scorers with a $15,000 added purse. King leaves the 10. So King with 426 for 2. The cover here, and the count will give him 203 for 629. He went in with 614. That'll give him 1240. Now, had Lindemann carried that 7-pin in the 9th, he would have had a chance to win this match with 2 strikes in the 10th. King did not get the triple. Tony could have checked in here with 248. King would have needed 205. The best he can get is 203. So Lindemann made quite a run for it. And the 7-pin stopped him. The 5-7, nothing but the 5 for 202. Johnny King, the 628. 614 in his first out. 1242. We'll check these. Jimmy Gleason, our statistician here, as Lindemann now needs a double for 600. Oh, look at that one. Tony would gladly trade that one for the strike in the 9th. So he needs 1 more strike for 600. Tony has finished very strong in the 2nd game, and here again in the 3rd game. First game, he had 3 splits in the last 5 frames, 2 of which he converted. This one will give him 600. Got to hurry. Doesn't get it. The 7-pin again, this time on a shaker. So Lindemann with 217. We'll check in with 599. Johnny King winning his 2nd match. He won $1,000 when he defeated Frank Klaus. Lindemann lost to Bobby Kowalik, so for Tony, it's 2 losses, picking up $500 for each loss, and that's about it. We'll check these scores, have a word or two with these 2 fine bowling champions, and then a visit from one of our instructors, Lee Juglard or Georgette DeRosa, Fred Wolf in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Don't go away. Watch this.
Here are the official scores for Tony Lindemann, 180, 202, and 217. The total is 599. For Johnny King, 221, 205, and 202. The total 628. Johnny King, the winner. The margin, 29 pins. Did you enjoy this one, ladies and gentlemen? Tony, I'll talk to you first. I just noticed a little interesting statistic up there. You outstruck your opponent 16-14, but you still lost by 29 pins. How can you account for that?
Well, I think he must have got his together. I got mine in between spares or misses.
Or misses.
Or
Now,
splits.
you missed 3 10 pins in your first appearance. You missed another one here this week, throwing the ball off in the channel. Could you explain that? What causes that?
Well, I think I was actually walking to the left and throwing my arm out to the right too far.
And a little slippery there on the right. You've got to allow for that.
That's right.
John, another $1,000 for you. That's 2 wins. $2,000, Tony. I better take care of you, the runner-up. Amount of $500. You're up there in second spot with 1242. We've got quite a few weeks to go. Do you give that any chance, or do you
No,
give
Freddie,
it?
I'll be very honest with you. That'll finish about 8th.
8. What do you think it'll take to win?
I think it'll take about 13-11.
13-11. Do you have any man you'd like to pick out in the field that still has to appear?
I like Eddie Labansky, his chances, or Bill Bonetta, or that little gentleman from Seattle.
Oh, Johnny Gunther.
Johnny Gunther.
He has the
He looks
6-8.
very good.
Thank you very much. Johnny King, Tony Lindemann. Good luck, fellas.
See you again.
From Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Don't go away now, because we have Georgette DeRosa with a tip for you ladies. So just stay right there. We have back with us this week Georgette DeRosa with a tip for you ladies, and I think you men should pay attention too, because this is quite important. Georgette, what are you going to talk about?
Well, Fred, today or this week I'd like to speak on the release of a bowling ball, the proper hand position.
Very good.
Now, first of all, we have 3 types of bowling ball hand position: of the hook ball, the curve ball, and the backup ball. Now, first of all, we want to remember to always keep our wrist firm and straight, regardless of which ball you are delivering. For the hook ball, now picture a clock. If we will keep our thumb anywhere between 9 and 12 o'clock, the thumb comes out of the ball first, the fingers give the lift to the ball, and that's how we get our hook. Now for the backup, and this we do not recommend, this is delivered when the thumb comes out of the ball, the fingers remain in for a second, but the thumb turns slightly to the right, or past 12 o'clock, anywhere 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. This we do not recommend, but it seems that all the ladies are very liable to do this. Now, if you keep your thumb anywhere between 12 and 9, you're in the safety zone. Let that thumb get between 9 and 6, and you have overturned that ball. It may hook, but there will be no action on the ball when it hits the pins. How does that cover it, Fred?
Very good. I'll have
I think
to
it's
try
pretty
that.
good for this week.
Try that my next time out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Georgette DeRosa. Georgette will pay an occasional visit here along with Lee Juglard, our bowling doctor. So for the bowling tip you're looking for, don't forget championship bowling every week. We'll repeat the scores. The winner here this week was Johnny King with 628 over Tony Lindemann with 599. So it's Dave Sutar with 1267, Johnny King in the second spot with 1242. Join us again next week here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina at the Major League Lanes. This is Fred Wolf. Keep 'em bowling out there. shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Championship bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce championship bowling.